Hi, my name is Tom Morphew and I'm from a company called Full Circle Farms. Part of my role at Full Circle Farms is to teach people about sustainable living and regenerative agriculture. What we do on the farms is we take food waste from restaurants, we recycle that into amazing compost, which we supercharge with biochar and animal waste from the farm as well, plus all the weeds and waste we produce on the farm. We then put that onto the field, we separate that field into plots and we rent those plots back to the same chefs. At least that's how we started many years ago. Since then, what I've started doing is working with large hotels and landowners and advising them on what to do with their land and how to be more sustainable in doing that. In this process, I've learned a lot about soil life, all the microbes and the fungal life in the soil and how important that is, and the damage we're doing with farming conventionally with our heavy machinery and the use of glyphosate and weed killers, as well as artificial fertilizers and things as well. One of the things I talk to people about is where their food comes from, what they're putting in their body, and the importance of knowing where this stuff comes from. A lot of chemicals are used on crops and it's actually killing our soil. So the chemicals don't just affect the crops, they affect the life in the soil, and we are losing our soils due to this and due to the kind of heavy use of weed killers and glyphosate, and then all the artificial fertilizers we use to try and balance that soil. The way I explain this to people is it's like me taking a load of steroids. I'll get full of muscles and be really strong, but it is no good for my body. It's a fake agent, if you like, I'm putting into my body. And if I try and balance my body with drugs, that will only damage me and eventually kill me. And the same thing goes for our soil. If we keep putting different additives and fertilizers and weed killers and herbicides and pesticides, we end up killing our soil. And our soil is important for our plants to become nutrient dense. We won't get that from artificial fertilizers. We need the natural circle of life in that soil. So we teach people about where they're buying their veg from, the importance of that, and that's where we can make a change. Farmers will carry on farming this way. They have done for the last 60, 70 years, ploughing our soils, using herbicides, pesticides, weed killers, and then all the concoction of fertilizers we use on top of that as well. This has been unbalanced in our soils, and now we're at the point where we have 60 years left of usable topsoil. And that's not just in the UK, that's across the entire globe. In 60 years' time, we run out of usable topsoil to grow our food in. This is quite serious. It's been spoken about for years, and it's always been one of those things where everyone's kind of going to do later. Yeah, we'll do it in 2020, we'll do it in 2025. It's something we need to act on right now to make the change. So, how can you at home make this change? And you can make this change not by rallying together and having big protests. Big companies who are using these chemicals and big supermarkets are used to that. It doesn't really matter to them. People still go in and still buy that cheap food. And it's the cheap food that is damaging the environment. Cheap meat, cheap veg, it all is cheap for a reason. So we need you to change how you're shopping. Look at what you're buying. Buy a couple of those things organic or from a local farm shop, even better. And that will in turn change what supermarkets have to offer. They will offer the customer whatever the customer deems or demands what they want. If more people want more and more organic, free range, then the supermarkets will have to stock that. And if the supermarkets have to stock that, they will look to the farmers to change their practices to become more organic. We are building more and more organic farms, and that's great, but we need more. And we need more people to grow at home. We used to do this all the time, and the way I farm is nothing new. It's the way we used to grow our food for ourselves many years ago. We didn't dig the ground because we couldn't fit a huge tractor in the back garden to plough our back gardens up. And then we got to the point where we didn't break our backs by digging the soil. So we just layered all that lovely compost from our animal waste on top of the soil, and we planted directly into that. That's basically how I farm. So this helps build the soil. We want to keep feeding that soil, feeding the microbes in the soil, feeding that life in the soil, because that in turn feeds our plants, and we end up with nutrient-dense plants, which is what we need in our diet. We do eat too much meat as a nation, in the world really as well. But if we all choose to maybe shop for organic meat, free-range organic meat, even better, it is more expensive. But then we just don't buy as much, which is better for the environment as well. If we have less meat, that's better for the environment. If we're buying fully free-range and organic, even better. And then we look at our veg in the same way as well. We buy free-range organic veg. If we buy veg that hasn't been messed around with, it hasn't had chemicals and things sprayed upon it, that is better for us and it's better for the soil. The soil is the key to all of this. If we look after our soils and we feed our soils, we will be better for it. Most of the things, a lot of the other things we do on the farms is we use the farms as training grounds. So once I've built these small farms, and they're only on 3-acre small sites, we use the sites to educate people and train people on how to grow for themselves. We teach them where to buy the materials from, where to buy the tools, how to set your veg plot up, how to do it. And that's what we want people to go away with that knowledge, with that confidence to go home and grow for themselves. That's going to be that's a real key thing for us. We also use the farms to help people heal themselves. So we're all stuck in some of these people stuck in jobs where they're stressed and they're worried, and we're all worried at the moment what's going on with the environment, what's going on with COVID-19, with lots of stresses. So we use our farms to help people de-stress using horticultural therapy. It used to be called gardening. You give it a name, you can now charge for it. We don't charge for it. We do charge it, take that bit out. We will charge for it eventually. We are looking at becoming a green care provider. So if you go to the doctors and you're stressed, you've anxiety, you've got depression, instead of giving lots of pills and drugs to make you feel better for the short term, what the doctor can actually do now is prescribe you to come to one of our farms, hopefully, and then we can help you. By being outside, being engaged in nature, having your hands in soil will make you feel better. It's scientifically proven. If you get your hands in soil, the microbes in soil react to your body's microbes, and that encourages your body to release endorphins and dopamine, which makes you feel better. It's free, and you can come and get involved. We also want to help ex-military staff using our farms, and people from schools who are deemed to be disruptive pupils. These are kids that need to be engaged in a different way, and we want to do that on our farms as well, and help engage people back into nature, back into growing. That's what Full Circle Farms is about, and we can all get involved in trying to change the climate in these different small ways, and we educate people on how to do that on the farms, be it through composting woodland, making charcoal and biochar to lock in micronutrients and minerals and life into that charcoal, and then charging that into our charcoal to put back onto our land. Rare breed animals, helping pigs into woodland to manage woodlands as well. And also, I can't remember where I'm going with this now. Things you can do to make a change to the climate. Buying free range organic meats, best thing you can do. And looking at where your veg comes from. Try and buy it locally. If you can't buy local, buy at least stuff grown in the UK. Be careful when you read the packaging, make sure it's not just packed in the UK, grown in the UK and grown organically. If we can buy more and more, get people to shift more towards buying things like that, that's going to help save some of our soils, save those few farms out there that aren't using the chemicals, and save our soils. When we spray chemicals on our soils, it breaks down the life in the soil. If you break down the life in the soil, there's nothing holding that soil together. The weather comes down and breaks that soil down very easily, and that washes off the field into our rivers and then washes out to sea, killing the ocean life and everything in the rivers on the way. And that's how we're running out of topsoil. So whatever we can do to save our soils, to feed our soils, can help. Look at recycling your food waste as well. We throw away billions and billions of tons of food waste, which is madness. A lot of that food waste is wrapped in plastic, put in a bin bag, plastic again, and then thrown into landfill, taken there by big lorries, churning out lots of carbon. If you can just take that food out of the plastic and you can compost it, you can make food soil and you can give it back to the land to feed the land again. So look at recycling. Look at, instead of having carrier bags at the supermarket, find a cardboard box. Some of those boxes will last 2 or 3 shopping trips. Yes, supermarkets are charging for plastic bags. We're still using loads of plastic bags. Get rid of those completely. Bag for life or a cardboard box. Cardboard boxes are brilliant because once the box gets towards the end of its life, you can break that box down, lay it on your garden, flat, taking the sellotape and things off it, put your compost on top. The cardboard helps suppress the weeds. Compost on top starts rotting down into the soil. You're feeding the soil, you can plant directly into that as well. That's how we do on the farm. On a big scale, we have lots and lots of cardboard we take from hotels and restaurants and everywhere else. We flatten it out, we put the compost on top and we plant straight into it. And we keep feeding the soil that way. As that rots down, we put more soil on top, which is made out of all that food waste. And we keep feeding that soil. And you can do the same thing at home on a very small scale. It could be a raised bed built out of pallet collars. You can buy them on eBay and on the internet for between £5 and £7. They clip together, stack up, and you can create a raised bed in no time. And you can keep feeding the food waste into that, building that soil up, layering shredded cardboard, shredded paper, all those documents you have to shred and you can't put them straight in the bin. Shred them, put them into there, and use that as a composting system if you like to start with. Once it's built up, you can have lovely fertile soil you can plant directly into. I hope this has all helped, and I'll do a second video later tomorrow and send that back to you as well.